On today's episode, three-time World's Toughest Mudder champion, Amelia Boone. This is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome to the World's Toughest Podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. My name is Will Hicks. Thank you for listening. You are listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world. The whole world, you guys. Very excited about today's episode. Today is the final episode of Champions Week. All week long, we've been talking to past champions of World's Toughest Mudder. I reached out to all the champions, and some of them couldn't make it just for scheduling, and some of them, I don't think they check their Facebook anymore, and some of them, maybe they got a new phone number. I don't know. But there are many champions that are not on this week that I would still love to get. So you guys know who you are. Shoot me a message, and I'd love to have you on. Today in our show, Amelia Boone. Depending on when you started OCR, Amelia was probably or may have been the first star of the sport that you heard of. She is a former Spartan race world champion. And, of course, she is the only three-time world champion of World's Toughest Mudder. She won in 2012, 2014, and 2015. In our phone call in a couple minutes from now, she announces that for the first time since her last win in 2015, Amelia Boone will be returning to World's Toughest Mudder. Very excited to see her back at World's Toughest. It's like the course she belongs on. She's done a lot of things in OCR and in running, but I'm very happy to see her back at World's Toughest Mudder this year. And as our final guest on Champions Week, so we've had some, big guests on the show over the years. We had, the president of Tough Mudder several times. We've had Ryan Atkins, Lindsey Webster. We've had Joe DeSena. We've had, big names in the sport. Amelia Boone is the only one that the first time I talked with her, I kind of got not starstruck. I don't know if that's the right word, but this is a couple years ago now. I set up the, microphone. I was doing the thing, and it was over the phone or over Skype. But I had to stop and actually restart because, I couldn't think of, I had my questions prepared, but I just couldn't get it out right. I was kind of like, Amelia. So, anyway, she's kind of a big deal, you guys. Very excited to have Amelia on the show. Before we start, you can email me at willhicks@gmail.com. I've been getting some emails from you guys this week. I don't know if it's because we're doing episodes every day or you forgot my email address or whatever, but thank you for the emails. Very kind. willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook by searching for World's Toughest Podcast. If you want to follow the Spartan Race World Championship this weekend, you should follow the OCR Report on Instagram. We're going to have our crew up there following the race and tracking around the leaders and the winners. This weekend is a big race in the Spartan race world. If that's your thing, check it out. The OCR Report on Instagram. And you can be a part of the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, and I will read it on a future episode. I'll talk about more reviews in a minute. I mentioned my email address, willhicks@gmail. I got a very nice email from Suzanne Huck thanking me for what I said on the episode with Christopher Mendoza. Christopher Mendoza. Yes, it's September, I said, and yes, Worlds is less than 2 months away. But if you get your act together quickly, you can sign up now, and you can have a World's Toughest that you are not embarrassed by. But step one is signing up. toughmudder.com. Commit before you're ready. Go there, put the money on the table, and after you commit, then you get ready. Suzanne, thank you for the email. And you can email me at willhicks@gmail.com. An update on reviews. You guys are awesome. They're still coming in. We're giving away 10 sets of 2 World's Toughest Podcast stickers next week for every new review by the end of Friday night. You know what? for every new review by the end of Sunday night. We'll extend it. For each review on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Stitcher, I'm going to add 2 stickers to the pile that we're giving away. You can enter up to 3 times. These have to be real. Don't just don't fake email, or don't just do a bunch of, I want them to be like legitimate. I'm curious. I want to know what you feel about the show, and I appreciate it when you guys share it, but don't scam the system. Not interested in that. You can enter 3 times. Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and on Stitcher.com. You can leave those 3 reviews through Sunday night, and we'll give away the stickers next week. Speaking of reviews, I'm glad you mentioned them. I tell you what, I have this new soundboard, and it's driving me crazy that I can't remember which buttons do what. I have a little thing for it, but let's try that again. Speaking of reviews, now that we're in heaven,
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
from the UK, Stuart Clark writes, 5 stars. Everything you need to know about the world of toughest, and world's toughest mudder. This is one of a small, few essential podcasts to listen to. It covers information of upcoming races, finisher interviews, episodes featuring elites, inspiring athletes, gear, training, and all you will ever need to get ready for your next race. In the run-up to the annual 24-hour World's Toughest Mudder, Will packs in a load of content, interviewing a whole host of elites to get a great insight into the event, as well as some specialized episodes on pit crew, gear, and nutrition. A definite 5 stars. Thank you, Stuart. That's a pretty definitive review there. You covered all the bases. Elites, athletes, gear, pit crew, nutrition. Stuart, will I see you at World's Toughest Mudder this year? Will you be in Atlanta? It's a long flight from the UK. Thank you for leaving the review. I appreciate it. From Switzerland, Quino 81 writes, from Switzerland, we have an all international reviews episode going on here. From Switzerland, Quino 81 writes, must listen to podcast for every mudder. 5 stars. Will is doing an awesome job delivering Tough Mudder news, interviewing elite runners, as well as normal mudders. What's normal anyway? And presenting very important information how you should prepare for World's Toughest Mudder. His humor, mixed with the interesting insights on the different races and the numbers, is unique. See you in Atlanta, 5-star Will. 5-star Will is not a thing. Thank you, Kenya81. I don't know if that's Kenya or Quino. You can tell Quino is from outside the U.S. because they spell humor with a U. You put the U in humor. Did you know that in the UK they spell gray Grey? Some of you are like, what? I should have started with, do you know how to spell gray? And if you came back with Gray, then I could have followed up with my UK trivia, spelling trivia for you. Also, I could listen to people from the UK say aluminum all day long.
Aluminium.
Aluminium.
Aluminium. How crazy is that pronunciation?
This has nothing to do with Switzerland, Quino81. I apologize. Thank you for having a good sense of humor. And from Canada, Morgan Hind writes, world's best podcast, 5 stars. Love your podcast. If anyone is considering running or pitting at WTM, this is the podcast you need to listen to. I ran Worlds last year for the first time. In the months and weeks leading up to it, I would listen to your podcast daily to try and learn as much as I could. Your episode, How Not to Die at WTM, was incredibly helpful. Always excited to see new episodes coming out. Can't wait to see you at WTM again this year. Morgan, I can't wait to see you at WTM. Morgan is from Canada. Check that out. Our reviews today, Canada, Switzerland, and the UK. Well done, non-US listeners. The OCR space is filled with solid Canadians. Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster, obviously. We all know them. Allison Ty, Morgan Mackay. I could go on and on. We love Canada on the old show here. I've talked about the team that I run WTM with each year. 4 guys, 4 of us. We used to go to school together, and we worked together. This is like 20 years ago. And one of the guys is from Canada. And although he's a U.S. citizen now, lives in Wisconsin, he still celebrates Canadian Thanksgiving, though, which is just like American Thanksgiving, except instead of gravy on their mashed potatoes, they use maple syrup. If you'd like to be a part of the show, like Morgan, Quino81, and Stuart Clark, you can leave a review also. Just click the purple podcast button on your iPhone or iOS device, click our logo, and then scroll down to click Write a Review. And I will read it on a future episode. And remember, you can do that on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and Stitcher. Amelia Boone holds every record a woman can at World's Toughest Mudder. She was the first woman to win back-to-back titles. She was the first woman to run 90 miles. She is the only woman to win World's Toughest Mudder 3 times. More than any other woman in the sport, she's achieved breakout success from obstacle course racing with commercials, endorsements, and magazine covers. This year, she will be making her return to World's Toughest Mudder for the first time since her most recent win in 2015. I am pleased to welcome to the show Amelia Boone. It's time to talk with Amelia Boone. Let's go to the phones. Amelia Boone, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Amelia, you are still the only 3-time women's champion of World's Toughest Mudder. How does that feel?
Just hanging on, let me tell you. No, I mean it's pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool. So it's been a long road.
So your last win was in 2015. What are your plans for World's Toughest Mudder this year?
Yes, I know, eons ago, right? I was actually the last time I ran it. So I'm planning on running. I don't know how competitive I can be or will be or want to be. But for me, I'm realizing more and more, like, it's something that's been kind of out there that it's like I've wanted to come back to. And I think especially with everything that I've been going through this year, which I've been open about and talking about, is that, like, I really kind of just, it's like I want to come full circle, and I don't know what exactly that looks like, but I have the pull to come back, and I was kind of waiting for the pull to come back, and in previous years it wasn't quite there. I felt, like maybe I should do it, but then, maybe not. And now I'm like, no, I really want to be there. And I don't know exactly what that will look like. Clearly, I haven't competed for over a year. I haven't been on a tough mudder course in probably 2 or 3 years. So, actually, wait. Hold on. When was the last time I was on a tough mudder course? Oh, God, this is awful.
You've never run a toughest mudder, the 8-hour or 12-hour race. And so it's
I have not run a toughest mudder. No, I don't even know what the obstacles are like anymore. It's really sad that I'm admitting this, but, like, I've just been kind of out of it. And I think I needed that, but I also, like, it kind of also makes me sad. So.
So you say you don't know how competitive you'll be, but I remember you telling the story about your very first Tough Mudder where you went out with some friends and you were all going to run together and
right.
You were kind of chomping at the bit. And then they said, okay, fine, Amelia, go, run. And then you took off.
Yes, that is true. That was also 2011. That was like a way different time. So, clearly I've been battling my body for a really long time. So I don't know exactly what my capacity is anymore. And, like, I still have that fire. I totally, totally do. It's just been a very kind of almost like there's been some, like, grieving in it because it's just kind of like as much as, like, the will is there, sometimes it's like I don't know physically what I'm capable of anymore. Though I still have, the thing is, like, I have this undying faith and undying belief that I still have it, it's just like getting everything. It's trying to be patient to get all the pieces together. I don't know if all the pieces are going to come together for World's Toughest Mudder, but I'm going to give it a go.
That's something you hear about with elite athletes and in baseball and football where, they were at the top of their game and Even like Michael Jordan, he came back and he played with the Washington Wizards at the end because he still had that fire, even though maybe his body wasn't there 100%.
Yeah, and it what's funny is that this has been on my mind for like a really long time. And I think I've told this story before, not to you, but like after I won World's Toughest Mudder in 2015, I was really just super, super done with OCR. And I almost like I had an entire blog written about me walking away, and like I wanted to go. I had in my mind that like all the greatest athletes go out on top. I was like, I'm gonna go out on top. I'm gonna win it 3 times. I'm gonna mic drop, and I'm gonna walk away. But like that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I think I was just like, maybe I should just like walk away now that I've done so well and, and leave my legacy, quote unquote, untarnished. That's just not who I am, and that's just not what I've ever wanted to do. But working through that process of understanding that and realizing that, I don't know. I actually have a lot of respect for athletes as they age who continue to keep coming out, even though it is something that's like your ego starts to pull at you. And I think everybody can kind of relate to that, regardless of what level you reached in the sport. It's just kind of inevitable.
Do you find that battling with your ego, like your ego says you won it 3 times, you can't go back and not win it? What will people say? What will people think? Do you fight with that?
I do, and I definitely have in years past, and I'm sure that it will be an interesting process to go through. But the funny thing is that I think I've reached a point where I'm so far removed from those wins, and I'm so far removed from that past that it doesn't really affect me the same way anymore, because I don't even feel like that person anymore, if that makes sense. And so I'm hoping that I've kind of reached this medium where I'm just happy to be out there, because that's the thing that I've been repeating and echoing, through this entire process in this past year, is that I just want to be in the arena again. I don't care if I got stomped on in the arena. I don't care, hopefully I don't die, but I want to be out there, and I want to play, and I want to be with other people, and in those moments, and that's what I've missed so much. It's not the results; it's just the being able to be out there, and the fact that I haven't even been on a starting line is more painful than not crossing the finish line. It's like I just want to get the start line. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
That's something that's not in a lot of the brochures, but the experience of suffering together. We're not in the military. We're not saving the world, but you're out there and you are enduring pain and you are helping each other through it. You're helping each other over obstacles and under barbed wire, whatever it is. And there's value in that camaraderie, that suffering together.
Yeah, and absolutely. And some of my greatest memories of all this, actually my greatest memories of World's Toughest Mudder are like random glimpses during the night of different interactions, and and I can still remember, I vividly remember like the people. I remember running by Keith Allen and him singing some weird song, or I remember in 2014 and it was like 11 p.m. and we all found out that Ronda Rousey had lost for the first time, and I remember like vividly running up the hill with some other people, maybe we were walking at that point with some other people and talking about that, and it's just like those little glimpses and those little things, or those hands over, like helping people pull over obstacles. That's what sticks with you. And that's always what sticks with me for sure.
I remember my first World's Toughest Mudder was 2015. And I was going through a mud mile at like 3 a.m. and you, and maybe it was Team Four Eyes. I don't know who it was, but you guys all, I was walking and like slugging, and you guys kind of like come jogging past me. And I was like, yeah, I want to tell stories about the time I ran World's Toughest with Amelia Boone.
I mean, it's so cool. I mean, that's what's so cool about it. It's just like, everybody's out there, and it's just an event like none other. And I've said that from the beginning, and I will say it for forever. And it's so hard to describe until you've been out there, for sure.
You wrote a recent blog post on your website, Amelia Boone Racing, where you talk about kind of the stages you've gone through. You say Amelia Boone 1.0 was consumed with winning, and then 2.0 was results don't matter. You say 3.0 is challenge seeking, Amelia. What kind of challenges are you looking for right now?
I mean, for me, it's really, the challenges for me are trying new things. And I think that this is like, I try new things and just really kind of being curious about what I love and what I can do and where to go to next. And this isn't to say that obstacle racing isn't challenging anymore. I mean, it's clearly challenging. You just have to go faster. You know, if people are like, oh, this is easy, I'm like, well, go faster. It's not so easy anymore. But I think it's just, I've done so much of it in my life. And I think that if I looked at what pulled me in to obstacle racing, it was the fact that I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could survive 24 hours in the mud, you know, in 2011. And none of us knew if we could do it. And that's what lit my fire. And so for me, it's finding things like that. And I've been kind of exploring that, you know, a lot with like open water swimming, with adding in like different sports and things like that. So, you know, I'm not quite sure. I have a bunch of things. People are like, you're going to go the Ironman route? You're going to go, like, what route are you going to go? I'm like, I don't know. It's all kind of up in the air right now. But I don't know. I think World Toughest Mudder will be plenty challenging for me, coming off of several years of actually not getting onto a Tough Mudder course. So it should be interesting.
You did the Barclays Marathon a few years ago. How did that compare to World's Toughest?
So I compare the feelings very similarly, or the going into it, and I think that's what it was. Since when, like, walking up to the gate at Barclay was the first time since World Toughest Mudder in 2011 where I actually really thought I legitimately could die. And I know that sounds funny, but I legitimately did not know. I could get lost out in the woods, because people do, and never find my way back and die out here, fall down a ravine. And that was almost kind of like intoxicating to me, that challenge. And the last time that I had felt that was really before World Toughest Mudder 2011. So the feelings are very similar. The race is totally, totally different. But that is like the thing that kind of like pulls me in. And ideally, you know, if Laz lets me back in, I will fully go back to Barclay as many times as he lets me, because it is kind of like that ultimate challenge to me.
Tough Mudder likes to say, when's the last time you did something for the first time? And when you're in that start shoot of maybe it's your first half marathon or your first full marathon or your first World's Toughest, and you start thinking to yourself, like, man, should I really be here? I can still quit, right? I don't have to prove this to anybody. That feeling is, you only get it really the first time you do something for the first time. And you're right, it's like a drug. It's unnerving, but it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think that's kind of one of those things, and that's what kind of holds my attention, you know, is that trying something for the first time. And so it actually, and the reason that I'm also kind of hemming and hawing about World Toughest Mudder, what my abilities will be, is that I'm planning on doing Big Backyard Ultra like 3 weeks before World Toughest Mudder, and so that could feasibly go on for days. So I don't know what my like capacity is going to be like coming off of that. But regardless, like, you know, that's why I still want to be there, and we'll see. Who knows?
You don't want to put all your cards on the table, probably, but if there was someone coming to World's Toughest that says, I want to win this year, you've done it 3 times, what advice would you give somebody who wants to win World's Toughest Mudder?
Never stop moving, for sure. I think that, and first of all, never stop moving. Second of all, I mean, like, you really, at this point, you really have to be super strategic about everything, about your pit stops, eliminate as much time in idle time. So you get your pit crew well geared, like, well oiled and machined, and making sure that you have everything you need as you come in after each lap. It's hard for me to say this because when I was winning, that is so not what World Tough Mudder was like. We didn't have pit crews, we didn't have any of that, and so. But now I realize that really makes a difference, and that's really where this sport has gone. So I think that's definitely a basics to nail, and. I don't know. I feel like my advice might be kind of out of date because it's been a while since I've actually seen how the high level that these people operate at.
Even if your pit crew is super fast, you still have to run 75, 80, 85 miles to win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that now, so Atlanta is pretty flat, right? It's all flat.
It's like rolling hills. It's not as bad as Vegas.
So it's not as flat as we, okay.
But it's not like Arizona
right.
or anything.
Yeah, it's not like English Town. I really would love for things to really go in full circle. I really would love for them to go back to English Town and next year, what would be the 10th year. So assuming there would be a next year, it would be total full circle if they went back there. But that's just my own plea to Tough Mudder headquarters, in case you're listening to this.
I've seen pictures of you from the race in New Jersey, and you look so miserable, about to die crossing the finish line.
I'm trying to. I remember vividly. If that was 2012, which it would be. I just remember the Tough Mudder headquarters people. I remember Alex Patterson running alongside me. The final lap being Pack, he's only 7 minutes ahead, just run faster. And I'm I can't run any faster right now. Leave me alone. So I think I was so disassociated at that point and just not really knowing what was going on. And it didn't really hit me, for a while after that. But yeah, I was a wreck. We know now exactly what happens to your body when you run in a wetsuit for 24 hours. But at that time, I did not understand everything and all. It was bad. Oh man, it took me a long time to recover from that one.
Just run faster is great advice, but not helpful.
There's video of me, and I'm literally get away from me right now. Because if I could run faster, I would, because I want this to be over with. But it's funny because no matter how miserable you were in the moment, you look back on it and you're man, that was so fun, wasn't it?
I don't know if you saw the weather last year. It was 30 degrees. People were. It's debatable whether or not it was colder than New Jersey. Some people are anyway.
I've heard this.
If you had to pick, would you rather it be cold and miserable like last year, or would you prefer more Vegas weather?
Absolutely, cold and miserable. I really liked Vegas in general as the setup because I really liked how variable it was. But I don't know. I really, really rely on miserable weather conditions. And to be quite frank, I seem to have a really good track record for attracting miserable weather conditions at World Tough Mudder, because every year that I haven't been out there, it's been really nice. I didn't run 2013 because I was injured, and it was that was the year that Atkins hit 100 in English Town, and it was super mild weather. And then 2016, 2017, really great weather in Vegas. I guess last year was kind of but I don't know. So considering I'm coming back, you're welcome, everyone.
So thinking back to 2011, your very first time, if there's somebody thinking about running World's Toughest for their first time this year, what advice would you give a first timer?
I would just say, let go of all expectations, for sure. I think having a goal in mind is good, but I think having an A goal, a B goal, and a C goal, and being able to readjust that, because you're not going to nail it your first time. Some Atkins did, but most people don't. I consider it. So it's a learning curve. And I think just really kind of trying to be present in every moment. And then also knowing, and this is something that I didn't really realize because I'd never run long events before, is that you're going to go through ebbs and flows. Like, you may be 3 hours in and be like, there's no way I can do this for 21 more hours. And then just keep going. And 2 hours later, you may feel like you're on the top of the world. So it's just kind of like fighting those ebbs and flows throughout it and then like writing them out and understanding that things will change for sure.
That's great advice. No matter what happens, it's going to suck at some time. And no matter what happens, that will pass. You'll feel better in a minute.
Exactly. Or it should. I mean, in an ideal world, it should pass.
Amelia, do you have any sponsors or anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, everyone knows who they are. The Elite, Ultra, a laundry list of others. So they're all great. They've been super supportive.
How can people find you on social media or your blog?
I'm everywhere. No, I'm kidding. Instagram is ARBoone11. Blog is AmeliaBooneRacing.com. Twitter is @AmeliaBoone. So I'm around.
Any last thoughts on a World's Toughest Mudder 2019?
I really hope I haven't jinxed myself because every year that I say that I'm going to run World's Toughest Mudder, something happens and I may not end up there. So holding strong to this. I mean, I will be there. So I've already have my flights, already have everything booked, and I'm looking forward to it.
Amelia Boone, thanks much.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Amelia Boone for appearing in this episode. Well done, Amelia. Come back anytime. Again, Amelia has the Champions Pass. Past champions and Tough Mudder CEOs can, and Spartan, I'm not going to discriminate, Joe, anytime, can shoot me a text and be on the next episode. No questions asked. Well, I'm going to ask them questions. I mean, that's just how interviews work. But you know what I mean? Also, happy birthday, Amelia. I hope it's a good one. Don't forget to review the show. You can do it 3 times. Apple Podcasts, Amazon, and Stitcher. Do it by Sunday night. Follow us on Instagram. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.